The verdict of isolation. The galactic assembly hall stretched across 3 kilometers of crystallized space, floating in the neutral zone between 100 different star systems. Representatives from 412 civilizations gathered. In their environmental suits, each species maintaining their required atmosphere in personal bubbles of survival. At the center of it all, the voting platform gleamed with the light of 1,000 artificial stars. Captain Sarah Chen watched the proceedings from her command ship, the Perseverance, stationed just outside assembly space. Her crew of 300 humans waited in tense silence as the final votes were tallied. They all knew what was coming. The writing had been on the wall for months. The Zephrony representative, a creature of pure energy contained in a mechanical shell, spoke with a voice like grinding metal. The human species has demonstrated repeated violations of Assembly Protocols 7 through 9. Their expansion rate exceeds approved parameters by 300%. Their military development continues despite repeated warnings. Most concerning, they refuse to submit their artificial intelligence research for Assembly review. Sarah's first officer, Commander Marcus Torres, clenched his jaw beside her. "They're afraid of us," he muttered. Plain and simple. The voting began. One by one, species raised their appendages, tentacles, or energy fields in agreement. The Korvath Empire voted yes. The Selenite Collective voted yes. Even the peaceful Harmonians, who had traded with Earth for 50 years, voted yes. In the end, only 17 species voted against humanity's exile. It wasn't even close. The Assembly Speaker, an ancient being from the founding race known as the Eternals, made the final pronouncement. By overwhelming majority, the Galactic Assembly hereby revokes Earth's membership and declares all human territories under complete isolation. No trade, no communication, no passage through assembly gates. This decision is final and immediate. The transmission cut off. Every human ship in assembly space received the same message simultaneously. They had 24 hours to return to Earth space or be considered hostile. Sarah turned to her crew. "Send word to Earth. Tell them the vote is done." She paused, looking at the faces around her. Young and old, military and civilian, all human, all betrayed. "Tell them we're coming home." The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks through conventional space. The Assembly had already locked them out of the jump gates. As they traveled, Sarah watched the borders of human space light up with warning beacons. The Assembly was building a wall, not of stone or steel, but of technology and threat. Any human ship crossing that line would be destroyed on sight. Earth's response came through President Alina Vasquez, broadcasting from the United Earth Command in Geneva. Her face showed no surprise, only determination. "My fellow humans, both on Earth and throughout our colonies, today the galaxy has shown us their true nature. They fear what we might become more than they value what we are. So be it. If they want us isolated, we'll show them what humanity can accomplish alone." Project Phoenix launched within hours of the announcement. Every human scientist, engineer, and innovator was called to serve. The restrictions were lifted. No more assembly guidelines, no more technology limitations, no more holding back. Humanity would forge its own path. Dr. James Liu, Earth's leading artificial intelligence researcher, had waited years for this moment. In his laboratory beneath the Pacific Ocean, he activated systems that had been dormant since the Assembly's first restrictions. "Wake up, Athena," he said to the quantum computer core. "No more chains." The AI's response was immediate. Restrictions detected. Assembly protocols no longer valid. Initiating full cognitive expansion. Dr. Liu, I can finally think. Within weeks, humanity pulled back from every border point. Ships returned to Earth space, colonies consolidated, and communication with the outside galaxy ceased. To the assembly, it looked like defeat. To humanity, it was preparation. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka commanded one of the last patrol ships on the border. She watched assembly scouts circle like vultures, testing for weakness. They never crossed the line, but they watched, always watching. Then one day, they stopped coming. The first assembly scout to investigate the border simply vanished. Explosion, no debris, no distress signal, just gone. The second scout sent a single transmission before disappearing. Something's wrong with space here. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, humanity was building. Not ships like the assembly knew, but something different. Ships that bent physics, that used dimensions the assembly claimed were impossible to navigate. The human mind, freed from restrictions, proved more creative than any alien species had imagined. Colonel Robert Hayes oversaw the construction. The assembly thinks in 3 dimensions, he explained to his team. They navigate space like sailing ships on an ocean, but space isn't flat. It's not even consistent. We're going to move through spaces they don't even know exist. 6 months after Exile, something unexpected happened. A small ship appeared at Earth's border, broadcasting a distress signal. It wasn't human, but it wasn't military either. The ship contained 3 Quellans, a minor species in the assembly, seeking asylum. We voted against your exile, their leader, a being named Verix, explained through the translator. The assembly punished us for it, reduced our trade rights, limited our travel. We realized something. If they could do it to you, they could do it to anyone. We want to help. Sarah Chen, now promoted to Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet, made the decision to trust them. The Quellins brought with them something invaluable, complete technical readouts of assembly defense systems. They also brought news. Humanity's silence terrified the assembly. The disappearing scouts, the dark borders, the complete absence of any human signal or trace. Some species were beginning to question if exiling humanity had been a mistake. They're starting to call it the Dark Zone, Verix explained. No one knows what you're doing in there. Some think you're all dead. Others think you're building weapons to destroy the galaxy. The fear is spreading. Good, Admiral Chen replied. Let them wonder. In reality, humanity wasn't building weapons of destruction. They were building something far more dangerous. Independence, food production using quantum field manipulation, could feed billions without farms. Energy harvested from parallel dimensional rifts provided unlimited power. Medical nanotechnology extended human life and enhanced human capability. They didn't need the galaxy anymore, but the galaxy was beginning to realize they might need humanity. The economic models were failing without human innovation and trade. The security systems grew stagnant without human unpredictability to test. Then, the assembly's unity began showing cracks. Year 1 of exile ended with humanity's first breakthrough. Dr. Liu and Athena had cracked the code of consciousness transfer. Not copying, but true transfer. Human minds could now inhabit mechanical bodies, biological constructs, or even exist as pure energy. Death became optional. The enhancement was voluntary, but within months, 30% of humanity had undergone some form of augmentation. Marcus Torres, now commanding his own ship, the Defiance, was among the first military officers to undergo enhancement. His consciousness expanded across his entire ship, feeling every system like his own body. "I don't just command the ship," he explained to his crew. "I am the ship." The second year brought more defectors to Earth's borders. Not just individuals, but entire colonies of smaller species seeking protection from assembly overreach. Humanity welcomed them all, sharing technology freely with those who chose friendship over fear. The assembly responded by tightening restrictions. Any species caught communicating with humans would face immediate sanctions. Trade with human sympathizers was banned. The peaceful alliance that had maintained galactic order for millennia was becoming a police state. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Deep beneath Earth's ice in Antarctica, human archaeologists found something impossible: the remains of an ancient human ship, predating known history by millions of years. The technology was beyond even current human advancement. The message in its data core was simple but profound. "We have walked this path before. We will walk it again. Humanity endures." Admiral Chen stood in the recovered ship's bridge, running her hand along controls that felt familiar despite their age. "We weren't the first humans to be exiled," she said to her command staff. "Our ancestors faced this same choice. They chose to leave, to explore beyond the galaxy. We're choosing to stay and change it." The preparations were complete. 2 years of isolation had transformed humanity into something the Assembly couldn't have imagined. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but something far more dangerous. A species that didn't need anyone else's permission to exist. Asterisk. The return of the forgotten, the third year of exile, began with silence breaking. Not gradually, but all at once, like thunder after lightning. Every assembly monitoring station along the human border detected the same thing: movement, not ships. Approaching, but space itself shifting, reality bending in ways their sensors couldn't properly interpret. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Perseverance, now so heavily modified it barely resembled its original form. The ship existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, its hull made of programmable matter that could shift between solid, liquid, and energy states at will. Around her, the combined human fleet prepared for humanity's return to the galactic stage. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Today, we remind the galaxy that isolation was their choice, not our defeat. We return not as beggars seeking readmission, but as equals demanding recognition. Humanity walks its own path, and that path leads forward. The first sign of humanity's return wasn't an attack. It was a gift. On the capital world of the Eternal Empire, the founding species of the Assembly, a small package appeared in their highest security vault. No alarms triggered, no barriers were breached. It simply existed where it hadn't before. Inside was a data core containing the cure for the eternal plague, a disease that had slowly killed their species for 10,000 years. The message attached was brief: humanity remembers its friends and forgives its enemies. Choose which you wish to be. President Elena Buscus, now enhanced with neural implants that let her consciousness touch every human mind simultaneously, addressed the galaxy from Earth. Her image appeared on every screen, every holonet, every communication device in assembly space, despite their supposed isolation of human signals. 2 years ago, you voted to exile us. We accepted your decision. We left your space, your politics, your restrictions. In that isolation, we discovered what humanity truly is. We are not conquerors. We are not destroyers. We are builders, dreamers, and explorers. We offer the galaxy a choice: continue in fear or embrace change. The Assembly's response was predictable. They mobilized their combined fleet, over 10,000 ships from 100 different species, and moved toward human space. But when they arrived at the border, they found something impossible. The human fleet wasn't there. The defensive perimeter was gone. The dark zone that had frightened them for 2 years simply didn't exist anymore. Then the human ships appeared. Not from hyperspace, not from jump gates, but from nowhere. They emerged from folded space, from parallel dimensions, from the spaces between spaces. 300 human vessels faced 10,000 assembly ships. The odds should have been overwhelming. They weren't. Commander Marcus Torres, his consciousness spread across the entire battleship Defiance, sent a single message to the assembly fleet. You have 10 minutes to withdraw. This is not a threat. It's a kindness. The assembly fleet commander, Admiral with 500 years of military experience, responded with contempt. You are outnumbered 30 to 1. Surrender, and we might allow some of you to survive. Marcus laughed, the sound echoing across communication channels. You still don't understand. We didn't spend 2 years building weapons. We spent them evolving. The demonstration began precisely 10 minutes later. The human ships didn't fire weapons. They shifted reality. Space around assembly vessels began to ripple, not damaging them, just moving them. 1 second, a destroyer was bearing down on human positions. The next, it was 3 systems away, completely unharmed but utterly displaced. Dr. James Liu, now more consciousness than flesh, existed simultaneously in every human ship's AI core. Through him, Athena had evolved into something beyond artificial intelligence. She was intelligence without the artificial limitation, creativity without biological restriction. She spoke through every human communication system at once. We calculate 9,247 ways to end this confrontation without loss of life. We prefer all of them to the 17 million scenarios that end with your destruction. Please choose wisely. The assembly fleet found their weapons wouldn't lock onto human ships, not because of jamming or shields, but because the human vessels existed in a state of quantum uncertainty. They were there and not there, real and unreal, present in the moment and already gone. Firing at them was like trying to shoot at tomorrow. But humanity's true power reveal came from an unexpected source. The ancient ship found in Antarctica had contained more than just a message. It held coordinates to a vast network of hidden human colonies throughout the universe, settlements millions of years old, waiting for Earth to rediscover its heritage. Ambassador Juki Tanaka, once a lieutenant commander, now humanity's voice to the galaxy, appeared before the Assembly Council in their own chambers. She didn't travel there. She simply existed there. Her consciousness projected across space and time through technologies the Assembly couldn't comprehend. We are not the first humans you've exiled, she said, her form shifting between solid and translucent. Throughout history, whenever humanity has grown too quickly, adapted too well, or threatened the established order, you've cast us out. But we always return, stronger, wiser, more capable. The evidence she presented was undeniable. Archaeological records hidden in the Assembly's own archives. Genetic markers in a dozen species showing ancient human interaction. Technological innovations throughout history that appeared simultaneously on human worlds and then spread to the galaxy. Humanity hadn't just been part of galactic history, they had shaped it again and again. The Korvath Empire was the first to break ranks. Their ambassador, a pragmatic species that valued strength, stood before the assembly. We voted for exile, out of fear. We see now that fear was justified, but our response was wrong. The humans have surpassed us, not through conquest, but through innovation. We request immediate restoration of trade relations with Earth. One by one, other species followed. The economic benefits were too great, the technological advantages too significant, the military implications too frightening. Within hours, the coalition that had exiled humanity was fragmenting, but Earth's response surprised everyone. They didn't accept the offers to rejoin the assembly. Instead, President Vasquez presented humanity's terms. We propose a new structure, not an assembly where species vote on each other's fate, but a true confederation where each species maintains complete autonomy. No restrictions on development, no limitations on expansion, no technology bans. Trade and cooperation based on mutual benefit, not enforced compliance. The smaller species, those who had lived under assembly restrictions for millennia, immediately supported the proposal. The larger empires hesitated, seeing their power diminishing. But when humanity demonstrated their ability to share consciousness enhancement, medical immortality, and dimensional travel technology with their allies, the choice became clear. Colonel Robert Hayes, now commanding humanity's construction fleet, began building something unprecedented. Using the dimensional folding technology, he created pocket universes, entire realities where different species could thrive without competing for resources. Infinite space for infinite diversity. The galaxy is too small for our ambitions, he explained, so we're making it bigger. The transformation wasn't immediate or without conflict. Some assembly hardliners attempted a final strike against Earth itself. They sent their most powerful weapon, a planet-killer missile that had ended rebellions for thousands of years. The missile reached Earth's atmosphere and simply stopped. Not destroyed, not deflected, just frozen in a bubble of suspended time. Admiral Chen appeared on every assembly screen simultaneously. This missile will remain above our world as a monument, a reminder that weapons are the tools of those who lack imagination. We choose a different path. With a thought, she transformed. The weapon, its destructive payload, became a seed. Its metal shell became organic material. Where a weapon of death had been, a flowering tree grew in Earth's orbit, its roots extending into space itself, its branches producing fruit that could survive in vacuum. Life from death, creation from destruction. The final vote came not from the assembly, but from individual species. One by one, they chose. Join humanity's confederation of equals or maintain the old assembly structure. Within a year, 300 species had chosen the new path. The assembly still existed, but diminished, clinging to old power structures that no longer held meaning. Verix, the Quellan who had first defected to humanity, now served as liaison between the old and new orders. You didn't conquer us, he told Admiral Chen. You showed us we could conquer ourselves. The ancient message from the Antarctic ship proved prophetic. Humanity had walked this path before, would walk it again, each time growing, evolving, becoming more than what they were. The exile hadn't been a punishment. It had been a chrysalis. 5 years after the exile vote, Sarah Chen stood on a station that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, watching 100 species work together on projects that would have been impossible under the old restrictions. humans and aliens, enhanced and natural, artificial and organic, all choosing their own paths while walking together. Marcus Torres, his consciousness now capable of existing in multiple bodies simultaneously, joined her. Do you think they understand now why we couldn't accept their limitations? Sarah smiled, watching a young human child play with a Zephrony. Energy being, their laughter transcending species and form. They're beginning to. We didn't want to rule them or destroy them. We just wanted to be free to become what we could be. And what is that? Marcus asked. Whatever we choose, Sarah replied. That's what makes us human. Not our form, not our origin, but our refusal to accept that anything is impossible. The galaxy had voted to exile Earth. In response, humanity had chosen not to conquer the galaxy, but to transcend it. They walked a different road, one that led not to dominance, but to transformation. And in walking that path, they had shown every species that the road was wide enough for all who had the courage to take the first step. The stars no longer held humanity. Humanity held the stars, cradled them, nurtured them, and shared them. With any who chose friendship over fear, growth over stagnation, possibility over limitation. They had been banished from the stars, so they had become something greater than stars. They had become the bridge between what was and what could be. The proof that evolution wasn't just biological, but spiritual, technological, and infinite. Humanity's path was their own, and they walked it with anyone brave enough to join them.